back to The Bright Side. Macy here, the Bright Side Girl, and today we're doing my February wrap-up. Forgive me if you can hear the rain in the background. We are having a very big rainstorm right now, so it'll just be kind of like added ambiance. But today I'm going to talk about the books that I read for February. Once again, I didn't complete a book physically, so these are all going to be audiobooks. I'm only going to have one wrap-up, but I should hopefully have 2 wrap-ups for next month because I'm reading a couple things that I think I'm going to finish in time. So for now, we're going to talk about the things that I finished for February. First up, I finished Boundless by Cynthia Hand. This is the 3rd book in the Unearthly trilogy. I read the first 2 last month for Angelathon, a readathon I participated in with my friends. This one was slightly better than the second one, but still a 3.5 overall. This series is about a girl who finds out that she is an angel and she has like a destiny that she has to fulfill and a prophecy, and this requires her to move to a different state and go to a different school and all kinds of things like that. This series was a lot more contemporary than I was expecting. I was expecting a little bit more fantasy or urban fantasy style, but it was a little bit more on the contemporary kind of like high school drama side. I did enjoy this and I thought that it wrapped up really nicely. I do recommend it if you like angel reads or like high school-y books. Overall, it wasn't like my favorite ever, but it was pretty much like middle of the road. I do like Cynthia Hand's writing style though. The narrator for this is Samantha Kwan, who I thought did a decent job. She wasn't my favorite, but she wasn't horrible to listen to either, so something to make note of. Next up is Ready Player 2 by Ernest Cline. This one is narrated by Will Wheaton, who is one of my favorite narrators. He is kind of a popular actor that's been in a bunch of different things, and he's kind of known for his nerdiness, and so I'm always excited to listen to anything by him. He narrates Ernest Cline's other books as well. This is the 2nd book in the Ready Player 1 duology, possibly trilogy, I'm not entirely sure, and I was really excited to get to it because Ready Player 1 is one of my all-time favorite books. So Ready Player 1 follows Wade in the future. It's like, I don't know, pretty far into the future, and virtual reality is basically a really big thing. Like, kids can go to school there, and poorer families or even have access to these like higher tech virtual realities, and Wade kind of does almost everything through the virtual world because his actual reality is not that great. And then the creator of this virtual world puts out an Easter egg after he dies and says if they can find this certain thing, then they will win the virtual reality, like they'll be able to take over what he's created and get a huge fortune. And so he kind of goes on a journey to get that, and a bunch of different things happen. It's very cool, very nostalgic, filled with a lot of 80s references. The 2nd book is following the consequences that happen after Ready Player 1, so I can't really go into it much. This book was slightly unnecessary, but if you really loved Ready Player 1 and you just want to be back with the characters and explore the world and have a really good time, I would definitely recommend it. I still gave it 4 stars just because I enjoy the characters so much. I enjoy Ernest Cline's writing style. This wasn't a book that necessarily needed to come out, but I still really had a good time, and I really like Will Wheaton's narration style as well. Hey guys, Macy from the future here popping in because while I was editing this video, I noticed that the last portion was not in focus. So I am going to refilm it really quick and give you my thoughts on these final 3 books, but I just wanted to explain the outfit change. So next up, I read Strange the Dreamer. This one is by Laini Taylor, and it is narrated by Steve West. I did this one on audiobook as well, and I finally got to this. It has been on my TBR for a super long time, so I was really excited to kind of get this one out of the way. I love Laini Taylor's Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy quite a bit. So this one is about a boy named Laszlo Strange, and he has always like dreamed and kind of fantasized about this lost city of Weep that's kind of mythical. And then one day basically he finds out that it might not be mythical, and he runs a library, and there's a whole thing. There's a lot more detail and depth to it than that, but I don't want to give away too much. This is one that is best kind of jumped into blind. So this one, unfortunately for me, was super slow. It took me a very long time to get through the audiobook. The narrator was decent, but a little bit more monotone, and because this is so lyrical and in depth and has a lot going on, I just found myself kind of zoning out or only being able to listen to like half an hour at a time instead of just being able to like listen to it constantly, and it is a very long book also. So at first I thought it was just like a narrator situation, but then I heard from other people that they felt the same way reading it. So I don't know what the deal is. It's written beautifully. There is a lot of wonderful things that happen in here. There is friendship and romance and magic and mystery, but unfortunately this one wasn't my favorite. I do plan on reading the second book, so hopefully I will enjoy that more than this one, but as of right now this sits at a 3.5 star for me personally. Then I listened to Cersei by Madeline Miller. This is narrated by Perdita Weeks, and I buddy read this one with my friend JJ. Finally got to this one as well. It's been on my TBR for a while. This is an adult standalone based on the mythology of Cersei from like Greek gods and all that kind of thing. I didn't know a lot about Cersei. I know a lot about a lot of the other Greek mythology and a lot of the other gods, but I didn't know about Cersei. So this is basically following a mortal life as a god and the many years she had lived and the different things that had happened to her. Interties a lot of other mythology with it. We talk about like basically things that from the Odyssey in here and the Labyrinth and a bunch of other mythical things. I'm not entirely sure how true it stayed to the myths or not because I'm not super familiar with Cersei, but I did enjoy this quite a bit. Perdita did a fabulous job narrating. I really loved it. So this one has kind of mixed reviews. A lot of people felt like it was kind of slow and not what they were expecting, and then a lot of people really love it. I feel like going in I kind of knew what to expect. I knew it was going to be following her life. I knew it wasn't going to be like a big plot with like a big final outcome. It was just kind of like the story of her life, and so just kind of following along and learning different things that happen to her, and there's little pockets of plots and things in there, but the overall point of the story is just to kind of discuss Cersei and what happened to her. My friend JJ really didn't enjoy it. She felt like it was too dense and too wordy. I felt like it was lyrical and beautiful, so kind of take that into your head. I feel like it's worth a shot. I really enjoy Greek mythology, and like I said, I kind of knew what to expect going into it, and I just thought it was great. I really loved the audiobook as well, so I wound up giving this one 4 stars. Then lastly, I read The Bone Witch by Ren Chipeco. This one was narrated by Emily Wu Zeller. I buddy read this one with my friends Brittany and again my friend JJ via audiobook, and this one has mixed reviews as well. I was really nervous going into it because of all of the mixed reviews. I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it or not. I wasn't sure really what it was about fully. I knew there was like a witch and she did bone magic. I personally expected this one to be a lot more gothic and intense, and it is somewhat darker themed, but it's more of like a kingdom fantasy, and I was really surprised by that. So I felt like this one was kind of slow going. I wasn't entirely sure about the plot. I kind of understood why people were DNFing it or not liking it a ton just because it was so incredibly detailed. But the narrator did a really decent job, and I feel like if you like a really thought out, well-built world, then you will enjoy this one. It's about our main character Tia, and she has a gift for necromancy, which makes her a bone witch and makes her kind of feared throughout the kingdom. Basically, Tia is forced to kind of leave her home and kind of go into this like apprenticeship for what bone witches and other witches and things. It's really interesting. It's got kind of like a geisha training aspect to it along with the magic, where she's learning how to be like proper and a lady and entertain people, and then also learning about her magic and things like that. There is a lot of detail and a lot of things happening here. I wound up really liking it. At first I thought it was going to be kind of like a 3-star, but by the end and the way things wrapped up and how detailed it was, and I kind of understood where it was going, I wound up giving this one 4 stars. So the one thing I would say to keep in mind is you're following Tia from the beginning and her journey and her perspective, and then you're following a different perspective that's kind of, you think is kind of more like set in the future, and that can be a little bit confusing, but just kind of hang in there and pay attention, and it all kind of ties together at the end. I feel like the rest of the books in this series are going to be especially good because all of those little nooks and crannies and details are all tied together, so I am excited to carry on, and it was a nice 4-star read. So that's it. Those are all the books that I read for February. It was a nice little wrap up for me. I really enjoyed a lot of these and things that I have had on my shelf for quite a while. So let me know what you guys read in February and what you're reading now currently in March, and I'll see you next time on The Bright Side. Bye!